As well as Bezier interpolation, Blender also allows constant and linear interpolation types. Linear provides interpolation, but unlike Bezier, it doesn't create easing. It progresses between the values of the keyframes in equal intervals, not accelerating or decelerating into or out of keyframes. It's great for creating mechanical, unnatural motion that moves at a constant rate. Then there's constant interpolation, which is somewhat of a misnomer. It's referred to in some software as a hold frame. It does not ease or interpolate. It simply holds a value until it is replaced by a new value, which it snaps to without transition. I find it really useful for blocking out a shot. If I don't want to be distracted by interpolation, I can set up my keys and focus on the poses rather than the motion between them. Because Bezier is the only interpolation type to have easing, it is the only type to have easing handles. Handles can be accessed here, or by pressing V. Handles control how the curves transition into and out of keyframes. There are 5 different handle types, each a different combination of 3 separate attributes. These attributes dictate whether the handles are manual or automatic, have smooth or sharp transitions, or whether it's clamped, unclamped, or aligned. Vector handles are an automatic handle type that creates sharp transitions. Free handles are a manual handle type that also creates sharp transitions. This handle has the most amount of control but has 0 automation, so is the most work. Aligned handles are a manual handle type that creates smooth transitions. If you move a handle, it keeps its counterpart aligned to ensure a smooth curve. Useful, but be careful. When finessing one side of a curve, it's easy to damage the opposite curve. Auto-clamped is an automatic smooth curve, but it is clamped, unlike all the other handle types. This means it prevents the interpolation curve from exceeding its value. And finally, automatic handles. Automatic handles, as you might have guessed, are automatic and create smooth transitions, but unlike auto-clamped, they're not clamped, meaning that careless users' interpolation curves can often go wild. Use caution when using this handle type. As well as the interpolation curves, we also have some presets and effects such as the bounce effect we're already using. The problem with presets and effects like bounce is that whilst they're super convenient, they lack control and are very difficult to finesse. Let's look into fixing that. So what we're going to do is open up a bouncing ball animation and go straight into the graph editor, because it's time to finesse this mother lover. So we'll select our ball and we'll hide our rotation keys because we don't need them, and we'll hide our X and Y location. We'll lock them as well just for good measure. There we go. And we'll just leave our Z location visible and unlocked. And what we want to do is create a manual version of this bounce effect curve, but it would be nice if we can leave this bounce curve still visible whilst we're doing our editing, so we've got it as a guide to sort of copy, I guess. So what we'll do is we'll hit this create snapshot button, or the little ghost icon down here, and you can't really see what's changed yet, but you will in a moment, I assure you. So if we come over to the first keyframe and we hit T and we change the interpolation to Bezier, you'll see that as this curve changes, it reveals behind it a dotted line sort of version of where it used to be, and that's our snapshot layer at work. So this is great. Now we can use this as a guide and start building our manual Bezier curve. Magic. So the best way to do this would be to come along to each of these contact points where the ball hits the floor and hit I and add only selected channels, add keyframes. And there's another one here. And then what we're going to do is select all of these keys and hit V, and we're going to change them to vector. And you can see that's instantly taken effect. And what we'll do is we'll just drag each contact point down to the floor. Actually, do you know what? We won't drag them down to the floor. That's a very uncivilized way to go about these things. We'll come over to our side panel and we'll change the value to 0. Select the next one, change the value to 0. And the next one, value to 0. That way we can be sure that it actually hits the floor. So the next step would be to start adding in some extreme keys. So we've got our contacts, and now we're just going to add in keys at the extreme points of our curve. So at the peak of each curve, we're going to add another key. And then we're going to select those. And I'm just going to drag them up. And it doesn't matter, you don't have to go exact to your curve, it's just, you know, I mean, it is a guide. So you can, you know, if you wanted to go really crazy and create some very much more extreme bounces, then feel free to do that right now. The other thing we're going to do is just make sure that these keys are nice auto-clamped keys, and we'll keep a nice rounded curve to our bounce. So that's exactly what we wanted. And obviously we've got this this sort of slope which isn't very attractive, so we're just going to fix that. Note, by having grabbed this vector handle, and the vector is an automatic handle type, because I've grabbed it and manually moved it, it has automatically changed the left handle as to be a free handle type, which is, you know, the manual variant of the vector handle. So, you know, do be aware, if you manually adjust an automatic handle, it will change to its manual variant, which is useful but very confusing if you don't know it's happening. So you keep going back to your handles and going, well, why has this changed? Why? But anyway, I think it's useful. I think it's great. So, you know, enjoy it. And then we'll just play this back. And we've got a really nice manual bounce curve. Excellent.